Welcome everybody. B'Shem Hashem Na'aseh V'Natzliach. This Parsha is Parshat Emor, which in the beginning of the Parsha talks about all the laws specific to Kohanim. But I wanted to focus on the end of the Parsha. It talks about all the holidays, and specifically the mitzvah of Sefirat HaOmer. We have 49 days between the holiday of Passover and Shavuot, the day we got the Torah. We have to count each day. Like, for example, today is the 26th day of the Omer. And God commands us to count the Omer and bring a specific sacrifice at the end. Now, what is the philosophy between counting the Omer? As it's very appropriate, we are in the days of Omer, and also the Parsha talks about the Omer. We have to realize the Sefer Chinuch says the whole reason God took us out of Egypt is for one reason and one reason only. True freedom is intellectual freedom, when you have a purpose in life, where you have direction and limitations to live like an angel rather than like an animal. So the whole reason God took us out of bondage, out of the servitude to Paro, was to give us his great gift, the Torah. So that's what we're anticipating. We're anticipating the most glorious day of the history of mankind, the day that we transformed into being God's partner in making the world tikkun olam, making the world a perfect place. And our guidebook is the Torah. Now we know that very unfortunate, really these days should be very happy days. Kind of like Chol HaMoed, Ramban says. But we know a tragedy happened a few thousand years ago where Rabbi Akiva, 24,000 of his students died during this time. The question Rav Shlomo Alkabetz asks is, he's the great author of the greatest song that we read when we want to enter Shabbat, Lecha Dodi. And he was a great Kabbalist. He asked, why did God take away these 24,000 students of Rabbi Akiva that causes us not to have weddings and to be mourned for them during the 33 days of the Omer till Lag BaOmer? Why didn't they pass away in the summer or near Rosh Hashanah? So he says, another reason why we count in the Omer is because every day of the Omer has a certain character refinement. We have to fix our deficiencies, be more giving, like the first week of the Omer is Chesed, then Gevurah, self-control, then Tiferet, glory. This week is Netzach, to do things to devise strategies to overcome the darkness and evil in the world, and to do actions that will last forever, actions of mitzvah and learning Torah. So each day of the Omer, and this is, by the way, why we don't count down, we count up. If the Torah is like our rocket launch, where we went to heaven and we experienced God face to face, why don't we count down? Famous question everybody asks. The reason why we don't count down is because we count up. Every day we build ourselves up in order that we should be worthy to see God's light and understand the depth of his Torah. So the students of Rabbi Akiva didn't respect each other. God was furious because at least during these days they should have looked inside. They said every year when on the festival of Shavuot, it's a renewal. The whole energy that came on the day, the whole enlightenment to give us knowledge and enlightenment comes in the world again. So they lost the opportunity. Rather than elevating themselves and refining themselves and realizing that they were being disrespectful to each other, not only did they not grow, they stayed in their backwards and unrespectful attitude to each other. That's why they were punished during this time. Because when God expects growth and you don't grow, God forbid, there's a severe punishment. And the Maharal, but the question everybody always asks me is, so they didn't disrespect them. They disrespected each other. They deserve the death penalty? 24,000. So the Maharal answers this question. He says, we learn from here, when you respect somebody, what's going on Kabbalistically is you're giving him life. Imagine a mother and father that would always tell their children, you're a loser, you're going to be a nobody. It affects us. How people treat us. When people respect us, it helps us to grow to our full potential. When people have resentment and don't give us the proper respect that is due to us, God forbid, it stops our growth and self-esteem to be able to flourish and fulfill our potential. So the Maharal explains, midah keneged midah, measure for measure. By disrespecting each other, they were taking away life from each other. They were taking the potential from growth, from budding into a glorious and beautiful Torah scholar. That's why, on their level, they should have known better. God is very strict with people that are very enlightened and have such a mentor as Rabbi AKIVA. So let's learn this important lesson. When we respect each other, we are giving each other the power and the tools and the energy. We're giving each other life and able to grow and fulfill our potential. God forbid, the opposite is like taking away life, because you're telling the person you're worthless. So may Hashem help us that through respecting each other, and really these days are so precious, the days of the Omer. Kabbalistically, you can grow 7 times more. There's 7 times more positive power in every day of that. May God help us to tap into that power and refine ourselves to get rid of all the ego, laziness, ta'ava, love of this world, to enjoyment, and have a wonderful Shabbat. Don't forget to